Commit to Wealth Nation, welcome to the Commit to Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Juan Vargas. On today's show, we have Jas Kaur. Jas is the co-founder of Sahara Equity, a company that focuses on underperforming and value-add multifamily properties. Through her company, she has acquired 3 multifamily properties consisting of over 500 units with an asset value of over $40 million, all within the last year, by the way. She is based out of Dallas, Texas. So, Jas, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you for inviting me to your show today. It's an honor to be on the podcast and talk about us.
Yeah, it really is. I do really appreciate your time. And so let's go ahead and get this show started. Let's get right to it. So Jas, tell us about your background. Tell us your story. Who is Jas?
Sure. So Jas is my short name. For full name is Jas Kaur, and Jas is no other but just one simple girl who probably is very much similar to many other girls out there. A married lady, I would say, married woman with 3 children, 2 grown up, 1 still a child, having a full-time job, having a caring husband and many good friends. So I'm no different from any other girl out there. But I can say about myself that personally I'm a person who is very determined and someone who if I want to get something, I do get after it. I do find various opportunities to meet my goals. If I have put some goals or something to achieve, then I do go out of my way to meet my goals. And so is the case if I have to go out and help for someone, do it for someone, I do go out of my way to achieve that. So that's just basically about me, my thought process, I would say. And who am I? Where I come from? So I am from India. I am from the northern part of India, but raised in the south. So I'm a mix of both, I would say. I come from a religion called Sikh. Many of you guys must have seen on the news or news channels, Sikh who wear turbans from India. So I belong to that family, and we came to US. I came along with my husband about 16 years ago as IT professionals, typical stereotype, IT is India. And we have been here, struggling around, working as consultants, traveling around across U.S., different states, different cities. Husband has been working on a different project. I used to work on different projects. We probably met maybe once a week on the weekends, and sometimes depending on the complexity, maybe we had to skip a week and meet only once in 2 weeks. So we did go through a quite struggling phase initially, and because we both knew we had to travel a lot, my kids were studying in India for some time, which I do sometimes regret, but at the same time I feel proud because my mom and my dad, they had tremendous role in bringing my kids up in a very traditional, cultured way. So I feel happy about it in a way. But of course, my kids had to stay away from parents for some time. That's a little regret I would always have. So everyone is with me right now. I mean, my children are with me. We all live in Dallas today. We have a beautiful house in Coppell, in north of Dallas, and why I am here today. Where did I start? How did I do that jump from being into IT, and why am I here on the podcast? There's a little twist behind that. So, as a consultant, traveling around, I always love traveling. I had an opportunity to also travel international, and I loved traveling. So, but at the same time, I also felt that it's high time that we have to live in one place. I have to give up consulting and traveling and have my children together with me, have them also get an understanding on how parents have come so far and what we have done to bring them up to this level. So I did give up my consulting work. I tried to find a local W-2 job, which I wasn't immediately successful, although I did find a local job still as a consultant, which then kind of converted to a full-time job because everyone loved me, as always, I would say, wherever I go. So I was honored again that they wanted me to become a W-2 and not never leave, which was great. So, and that's how I was settled in Dallas, and then we immediately bought a house because I knew this is the place. Well, so for me, I'm always a person who wants to see something new, do something new, always a step ahead, not just be a static, keep rolling the ball, be it for myself, be it for children, be it for a family or friends, whatever. So for me, it was like, okay, what next? So we have an income, my husband has an income, my kids are going to school. So what could be next in life that could make it exciting? There's volunteering that we do in our Sikh temple. And then there has to be something in the life to keep the ball rolling, to keep it exciting, right? And that's when me and my husband started talking about investments. We do have real estate investments back in India also. And some we had already when we left India, and some we acquired after the fact, after we came to US. We did some purchase over there. So between me and my husband, we have a land, we have apartments, a multifamily, not too huge, not too big, smaller ones, but we have few. And then he also owns a retail. And then as during this period, I had also moved to India for a year, where I was more like we did a construction of a retail property and a multifamily property over there, and I was kind of leading the whole construction, more like a general contractor, I would say, or asset manager, whatever you may want to call it. It's kind of playing all roles when you're building your own from the scratch. And then, so I love that experience, although I was not up for it immediately, but I love that experience. And so when back in US, when we started talking about investments, that was one of the route to go, real estate, because he's passionate, I'm passionate. And we know we have enough funds to get started. So we started thinking about single family homes. Single family homes has been something that I think pretty much everyone in US, when they want to start off thinking of real estate, the first thing that comes to mind is single family home, right? I wasn't aware of multifamily. Anytime I saw apartments, because I used to live in apartments myself, but anytime I saw apartments, for me, it was like, these must be one of those institutional buyers. It's not my cup of cake. I can never buy one. Or maybe I'll have to have enough funds, maybe make some millions, but make some millions like how? I cannot do that through 401k. So, so we started just talking about it. And then I have a very dear colleague of mine in my office who I share with about our future investments, what we want to think about, and talk through a lot. Very caring and very knowledgeable, I would say. He's also an advisor on in our entity today. He several years of real estate experience, audit experience. So he kind of shared with me a link for a seminar. It was kind of conference in Addison, which I went to, and coincidentally, my partner today, Reddy in Sahara, he was also available to join, and we came across this guy called Brad Sumrock. So Brad Sumrock was a name I had never heard before, because I never knew something like business multifamily existed ever. And we were impressed. We were very impressed with the fact that a common person, we can't say with no money, of course, but with some money in your pocket, if you have been earning and have been saving, would be can also acquire a multifamily property with just following few steps, following few procedures. And we had good credits, excellent credits rather. So that was pretty exciting too. I got very excited, and the same night we signed up for his quarterly R2R events that he holds. We signed up the same night, and we were just waiting for the next one, which was going to be in November. And I remember that it's November 2017 that we were signed up for but my research did not stop. I continued on to search for more and more properties every weekend. Every Saturday, I used to, take my husband around, my kids around, and my little one he was tired. He was like, "Stop buying homes, Mama. We're not going to buy any home. What we have is good enough. I don't want to leave my friends and go anywhere else." But of course, he wouldn't understand the reason we are trying to look for homes as another investment. It's for their own futures, right? It's not just for us; it's for their future as well. Mm-hmm. Well, I had to convince him every weekend. I had to, buy something to him, as a gift or as a toy or something to keep him entertained, just so I can continue my journey. And then come November, and then quite a few things I would say is also destiny. When it's destined for you to go and do something, and you also try for it, you will get it. So probably it was just a destiny that I had to go and buy a multifamily home. So none of the single family homes that we saw every weekend was something we liked that we wanted to buy, or something that we liked was not available after some time. But in November, I came to this event, and the first day we were like, this is going to be a sales pitch. We know tomorrow we will be all pumped up. We will have to end up paying his fees and so on. But this guy, Brad Samrock, I would say, and I'm not here to advertise or market, but I'm just sharing my facts here, what I felt, what not just me, I think there were several others over there who kind of felt they were in the same boat like me, trying to get to the next level. And so we signed up, me and my partner, Reddy, we both signed up for the program because he had similar goals as mine, and he probably will share his when he's on the podcast. But yes, that was the day that kind of changed completely my growth since then. Like I was talking to you earlier, has been tremendously because of Brad Samrock and his coaching and his steps and his ecosystem. He's got amazing folks in his group. His coaches are amazing. But it does not work out for those who just sign up for his program and wait for an action. It's for those who would like to take an action and think and have the same thought process like I do, like, let's keep the ball rolling. So what's next? Keep going. So that's where my whole real estate journey began, my multifamily journey began. And in 2017 of April is when I bought my first property. Of course, I wouldn't say I bought my first property. But I will take the credit. I'll not love it behind it. I will take the credit. I did find the property, in the listings, and worked with our buyer broker, and kind of got my group together, my team together. We have 4 partners in it, but Reddy and I have been one team, and then we teamed up with Elaine, with Tari. And that's how my journey began. The first hit itself was 123 units, which was kind of shocked to quite a few, because a girl coming from no real estate background, no single family, no flipping houses. Did you just acquire like 123 units? Was the question. Yes. How could you do that? And how is that even possible? I said, nothing is impossible. It's just the direction. You need the right person to give you the direction. You need to team up with the right person you think you're going to get along. You be patient with people trying to advise you one way or the other, but you always listen to your instincts. If your instincts say that you can do this, you probably have to change your mindset a little bit to achieve it. But if you think you can do it, your instincts are calling for it, just go for it. You will find your way to do it. So that's how I ended up getting my first property. Mm-hmm. It's been A learning curve. At the same time, I was blessed that I could, team up with some of the great coaches. Tariq is one of the great coaches, I would say. Tariq Sattar, he himself owns several properties across U.S. So there was good guidance from him, and then of course our own experience from like typical real estate. I may not have known the U.S. regulations, the laws, the loans, and other things, but managing the real estate, be it India, be it here, is the same. It's all about the rental. It's all about the occupancy. All about adding the value, decreasing the expenses, controlling your expenses, and increasing your revenue. Just the different strategies, I would say, based on the demographics, based on the country you're living in. So we just enjoyed it. I just loved that whole process. And I hope I have not bored any of the audience or you so far with this journey.
No, I think you've been providing a bunch of value by telling us, you're just a normal person like most of us out there, right? You came from India, you had some dreams, you had some experience in real estate, you wanted to do more for your family, and that's exactly what you did. You joined the local program, through Brad Sumrock, and he, by the way, is an incredible guy. For anybody out there that's listening, it truly is a real deal, and I would say that as with confidence. But you join his program, you partner up with the right people, and you took down a 123 unit like immediately, pretty much is what it's like. But even from that one, you took down 2 more deals, all within a year's time. So that's just incredible. So I want to get into the details on these deals. So this 123 unit that you took down, tell us the price, the acquisition price, and some of the details as far as rehab, some of the capex that you had to do. Just kind of briefly, go over that real quick.
Sure. Yeah. So the 123 unit property that we took down is in Grand Prairie. It's a very growing market of Grand Prairie, Texas. It's very close to the airport as well, the DFW airport. The purchase price for that one was about $9.3 million. And the value add on that, it has been a property that was owned by the current owners for about 30 plus years. Very well maintained. The owners really took very good care of it. So the moment you go in, you don't feel it's a C-class property. It felt like, pretty much like a B-. There's pool and, the aesthetics were pretty good. So the value add for that one was to do more of interior upgrades, add children play yard. There was one already, but pretty old. Add the play yard for children. Do mostly interior upgrades, and then raise some rents over there. Add solar screens, energy efficiencies. It was a all bills paid chiller boiler system, so we could go and do some rubs after a while when we did the interior upgrades. To an extent, we didn't have to really raise a whole lot of rent because not raise a whole lot of rent, but do a whole lot of interior upgrades because the rents were raised even without doing the whole lot of interiors. The tenants were willing to pay more just to stay at the property. It was right behind a school, an elementary school. So that was that property, $9 million, the first deal. Yeah, some people found it shocking, but some who are go-getters like me was like, yeah, that's good. Yeah, we will be there.
Let's go for it. Okay, no, I love that. I love that. So that was your first property. You took that one down, and you said that was in what month or what year was that one?
So it was in April. I remember we closed on April 30th of 2018.
Okay.
So joining in November 27th and closing in April of 2018, less than about 4 months. We had a deal in hand and the contract.
That's what's crazy because you joined this program and then you pretty much have to have a deal pretty much ready to go for you to have to close within 4 months. Yeah. It's like you join and then you find a properity, you identify it, and then you put an offer in, and then you move on with it. You're not playing around here. So I really like that. I like your willingness to take action. That's what really separates a lot of people out there. I think everybody wants more in life, but you're a prime example of that. Just taking action. Tell us about your second deal.
Yeah.
When did you take that one down? What was the acquisition price on that one? What market was that as well?
Yeah. So my second deal has an interesting story to it. And after our first deal, it was a big leap for me in my life as well. Going in from no real estate to multifamily real estate. So we were trying to first, kind of settle that down, that property, go through the actions that we want to do as a value add. So it kind of had a break of 3 months to stabilize the property. It was stabilized in a way, but having to work with the interiors and then upgrade the rent. So coming to that value add position, stabilize the property, and then I started hunting down for the next one. So between me and my partner Reddy, we switch roles at times. He is mostly into operations, and I do mostly in acquisitions. But again, we both interchange our roles, so we share the roles also. It's not hard and fast. But so he had taken over mostly of the operations, and I started hunting down for my next deal. But of course, the property was very well stabilized, so he thought I can now take a vacation and go to India, and he left for about 5 weeks.
Okay.
And acquisitions don't stop for for vacations for anything. And I was out here, trying to find more deals, hunting down more, the underwriting rigorously, trying to be conservative, sometimes trying to be aggressive. But then I found this one deal, which is in east of Dallas. It's called Vista del Sol. It's a 243 unit property. So a jump from 123 to 243 is like twice of it almost. My buyer broker did mention, "Are you sure you want to go this far? Because this is a big property. It's a big raise. It's twice the raise that you had before. Can you do it?" I said, "Sure, why not?" I mean, I know there is a lot of capability. There's still a lot of meat left on the bone that we can make, not only make more returns on this, but also our investors are going to make huge out of this. And the area itself has been changing hands. And I work very close to that property, so I know how the area has been developing rapidly in the past few years, especially with the mayor of South, Mike Rawlings. He has been with this Grow South initiative, the Pleasant Groves and the Redbird. It's you have a property in Redbird. You know how it's growing. You know how the future is of south of Dallas now.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of excited us, and I did want to go for it. I have been getting very close, and then I've been getting a pushback, either through another competition or increasing the pricing and so on. And here my partner is in India having fun with his family. And I'm but of course I did partner up with another guy called Ramana. He has quite a few acquisitions himself. So I wanted to get him on team so I can leverage his experience, his advice, and at the same time, have that resume on our team, because it's a big property. So the brokers may not always want to award you a big deal if you do not have an experience. That's where teaming is very important. Team up with the right person, but do not team up with someone who you probably would end up not leveraging from their experience, right? So it's going to be a big, it's a long-term tie-up that you have once you try to team up with someone. So I try to talk to those I feel I can team up and see if we really have that common frequency. Can we get along a long-term goal? Because if you have been able to kind of read me so far, I'm a go-getter, but at the same time, I'm a proud person myself. So I don't take things from people if I don't have to. I can just move along and find something else.
For sure.
So so with that, I had another partner here that I teamed up for this specific deal. He has been a great coach also. He is still a great coach at Bradshaw Rock and a great partner. Good advices. Working out very well, and we closed. We did have to take a couple of extensions because there was a last minute lender back out. There was a big drop in the loan. So all these hurdles that I came across for this property were a very, very good lessons that I have learned. Something that I believe, some folks may have learned in like 3 or 4 deals after, or in like 2 or 3 years after. I learned all of them like my year one. So I feel proud of it that we could, overcome those hurdles and close the property, and it's making a great flow. There was a dip, but it came back up right away.
Awesome.
So
Awesome. Okay.
So that's
Okay.
that's second one.
Okay.
So and then the third one, yeah.
Yes, I want to talk about the third one because I know some of the details, but I want you to tell us, the details as far as, how creative you got onto with this deal, which I feel that, you guys listening are going to find it very valuable. So go ahead and drop the bombs. Let's go ahead and do this. So tell us the details on this third deal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So third one is a unique deal, and you can call me lucky. Just like I was telling you the other day that it's all about, I think, not all about, I think I give mostly my credit to my destiny also, that I landed up on this deal. It was called an off-market deal. The broker I'm very good friends with also, he called me up and said, "Hey, Jas, I have a deal for you. This is an off market. The seller doesn't want to list it at this time, or probably he wants to list it at a later stage, after getting some initial offers as an off market. And he's willing to finance this deal," he said. I was like shocked to hear because it's in Dallas market, especially in a location where it's kind of growing. This is Fort Worth. So I'm still in Dallas, Fort Worth Metroplex. I'm still in Texas here, right? And this was a surprise for us that the seller is willing to finance a property, which is a huge one. It's not like a 20 or 30 unit. It's a 168 unit property. And it's pretty stable condition. Of course, it does need some exterior work, may not look as great. But at the same time, it was not a distressed property at all. The occupancy was always above 90%. So what happened next is me started getting involved with the seller. So the broker kind of introduced us to the seller, and we went back and forth through email. So we got on a call also once because the seller's asking price was pretty high, and his financing was up to 70%. At a stretch, it came to 75%, but nothing more than that. But it had its own story. He had subleased it to someone and they didn't do a right job. So with all these stories, he wanted to finance it to someone or award it to someone who he thought would really take good care of it, bring it back to a very well stabilized position, do real value add, and not just collect rents and nowhere to be found. Mm-hmm. So he personally interviewed us. So I was surprised. He is from the west of Texas, and he came by just to personally interview us, asking us where you're located. I mean, we have an office in Irving. So I want to come by to your office and meet you guys. Now, although we proposed that we will come by to the property and meet you upstairs, no, I want to come and see your office. Well, fine, okay. And then he came by, he met with me and my partner, asked a bunch of questions, our experience, and so on. And I would think that he was really impressed with us, that he was willing to award this property to us, this deal to us. But the terms, again, were not something that was favorable to us. It was still a 75% leverage, and it required a heavy value add. So with the raise that we were looking at, the numbers that we ran, it was not going to make too much sense. So going back and forth with the seller and kind of explaining him what we want to do for this property, where we are coming from, and also getting to do due diligence before we signed up for this deal. He allowed that, luckily. And we found this bunch of issues, and I reported back to him, here you go, I have all of these issues that I need to work on. These are the deferred maintenance items. And if I have to add some value, I have to first take care of these deferred maintenance items. And with the leverage that I'm getting, with the purchase price that you're asking, this is not going to work for me. It may work for a few folks who are looking for maybe like little returns. Some, those California investors, just with a 5% return is great. But for us, it's not. We Texans are still looking for higher returns, and there's still a lot properties out there that can get us. So I had to push it back. It was at some point of time, it was almost dropped, and we were going to head back. But after probably like few days, 2 weeks or so, he emailed back saying that he wants to continue working with us. I don't know what happened between those 2 weeks. He found other investors, or what maybe he didn't find as gracious, as willing to work kind of investor like me. But yeah, he came back and said, okay, I'm willing to give you guys 80% of the leverage, and my interest rate is going to be again a high interest rate. I would say it was a long process of negotiation, but we kind of locked down at a 4% interest rate with him up to 3 years, interest only, and then had a cap on the interest rate for the next 4 years, because we wanted to do a refinance or sell after a couple of years after we do the whole value add. And we wanted to cover ourselves from the from the downfall in case the market turns south, because everyone has this. The market has been running high for quite some time. You guys need to be prepared and so on. So we just kind of had that shield for the next 5 years. So if market turns south, then we are still protected. But it was a great experience. I think from the first 2 deals, I kind of learned to say no to a few things and not get desperate just because it's a seller finance, just because I'm covered from the agency loans, from all the third-party reports. My costs are low. There are so many benefits to think about the seller financing, but at the same time, if the numbers don't work, if it's not returned for the efforts that you're putting in, it's worth saying no. You will always find the next one. You always find next one. If you have the determination and you are willing to go to the next one, you will always find it. So I kind of learned that and was able to negotiate in a way that it has to work in our favor if we are putting our time and effort into it.
And man, you did get it in your favor. 80% leverage on a seller finance deal. 80%. You can't even get 80% a lot of deals now. So you got 80% leverage. You got 4% interest. You're like 3 years of IO or 4 years of IO.
Yeah, three years of IO, 4%.
Yeah, I mean that's like agency debt. You can't even get 4% these days either. So it's just an amazing deal as far as the terms are concerned. So I really do congratulate you on that. So I would say that the biggest takeaway on that is that you were patient. You didn't seem desperate on that. And so that's something that sellers can sense. That sellers can sense when you are being desperate. So they kind of going for the kill, So they feel that you're being desperate. You're gonna take whatever numbers that they throw at you, and so they're gonna give you. They're gonna force you, into their terms. But on this one, you stood your ground, and you're, it was more about what you wanted versus what he was willing to do, and ultimately, you got what you wanted. So I really like that. That's just an amazing story. Is there anything else that you would add to that story? Any tip on that besides being patient, besides not being too desperate, and running the numbers and knowing what works for you, and you want a healthy return? Is there anything else that you would add to anybody listening out there that they can pick up, if they're looking at a seller finance deal?
I mean, what I would definitely want to add is how the team that you are again partnering up with, it's not a one-man show. You will have to partner up with teams. So apart from Reddy being my permanent team member, or like the other co-founder of Sahara, I had 2 other partners. I would say one partner who brought her own partner was Elisa. She comes from great experience and great educational background also. So although I knew I'm not going to be desperate, and I was trying to find ways to kill the deal, so it's not going to be a shock for me in future. She also added a lot of value in giving her tips on covering for the downfall of the market. On the seller financing, apart from that, get to know your seller. You be open about yourself. And there's nothing wrong in saying that I just have 1 deal or I just have 2 deals. It's about what you can do with this deal, what you can get out of this. Sometimes some sellers I don't know about this one, but I know that there are some sellers who are also sensitive about the property that they have been owning for some time. They treat it like a baby. And they can't leave some, some dollar on the table, but give it in the right hands, so they're not killing that property. So it's going to be. So I think it's also based on how you want to perform, what you take it out to the seller.
Gotcha. So ultimately, I would say to know the story, know what it is that they want. Try to find their needs, and and try to pursue those needs for them, and just be yourself. Be authentic. If, like you said, if you have one deal only, that's better than no deals. That's okay. They just want you to know the real you, and so that's really the biggest thing. I really do appreciate you sharing that, and I think it's very valuable. So, Jas, it's time for our nuggets of wealth, and so let's go ahead and get into those questions. What is a good tool, source, or platform that you use almost daily that can also help others?
Excel. Well, Microsoft Excel, of course, for now, because we are still at our, right now we're at our fourth deal that's under contract. So I think I will start switching over to different tools. We did come across a couple of tools to put our deals on the platform. IMS being one of the most usable, expensive though, but it's got a lot of integration, and there are a couple more similar to IMS. Dropbox is very, very useful, I would say, especially with syncing of our files. I work mostly offline, so coming back online, thinking of the files and having one share folder for all my team members to look at it has been helpful. And then apart from that, I haven't for my project, I consider, coming from IT background and having some project management experience also, I consider every acquisition as a project. So when we do an acquisition between me and Reddy and anyone I like to work with, I use this tool Asana. I call it Asana. I don't know if it's pronounced something else, but it's an app that helps you put your task list and share it with your team members, and then give them a time slot by when it should be done by a deadline. So that's something I really love.
Yeah,
looking at.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
Using that app.
Asana, so how do you spell it? ASINA?
ASANA.
Oh, ASANA. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so that's a good tool for like a project management. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay,
so,
good.
Apart from that, I'm going to new tools. So maybe when the next time I'm on your podcast, I'll have a bunch of tools I can talk to you about.
Good. Yeah, we need to set that up for sure. So what is one key tip, besides all the tips and all the advice that you have given us, what is one key tip that you would say that's very valuable to those looking to get to that next level?
It's a tip that I will tell you, it's pretty common and many must have already heard of it, but I believe in this, and so does my son, my elder son. He's also a big fan of Tony Robbins, of Grant Cardone, of Robert Kiyosaki. He's a big listener of podcasts himself. And he keeps telling me two things. One is, a dream is a dream until you take an action. And I know it's not his own dialogue, but it definitely is a great tip. And and I always try to adhere to that. Yes, I have to take an action. I wake up with a great dream, but what am I doing to achieve that? And then the second thing he would say is, invest in yourself to keep so that investment makes you grow, keeps you happy. So there are quite a few, including myself in the past. I would not spend a whole lot on tools or devices or education, just to get to the next level. I was not of that kind at all. But investing into the Bradshaw Rocks group, it's not $100, $200 course. It's a pretty big, it's a decent amount of program that you need to invest in. That got me to this level. So I'm happy I was able to invest into something that will lead me to the next level. and not just invest into my clothes, into my, which has no value after a certain time.
Got it.
Or
okay.
into, yeah.
No, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You pretty much said, invest in yourself, going through brands programming. I think that's one of the best investments you can make because you're going to be around, great people just like yourself, and you're going to learn from some of the best out there in the industry. So that's a very, very valuable tip for sure. Okay.
Yep.
So what is the book that you're currently reading? What book are you currently reading right now?
Well, I started this book called Never Split the Difference. It's I haven't been too far on that one yet. Like I said, I'm on my 4th deal under contract, and things got way too hectic. So I'm not too far, but I have heard some very good reviews about it. And it's also about the negotiation tips and how to learn to give up few things to get more. So I'm really excited to continue reading on, and maybe in your next session, I will give some feedback on that.
Awesome. Yeah, I look forward to that.
Yeah.
So where do you see your business and company in the next 5 years? I know you said that you have one in under contract right now. So tell us, I guess this is a good point for you to tell us a little bit more about that, and we'll go to the next question.
Yeah. Well, on this one, though, again, I'm not going to market about this property. I'm not supposed to market this property, but this is kind of my acquisition.
Yeah.
Yeah. High level, more about the goal on where I'm heading to. This acquisition also comes into play. So where I'm heading to is to have our own, commercial real estate empire. I call it empire because I came from a small background. I was not from very affluent family. So all of these multifamily apartments has been something in my generation. I would say I'm the first one to start acquiring. So I call it myself an empire that I want to build for commercial real estate. And we are full-time into multifamily, but at the same time, I would also expand to other asset classes. We are still exploring. We aren't there yet, because I do not want to lose my focus on multifamily. But being the part of the same real estate family, it's going to be, helpful to also explore other areas, be it mobile home parks, be it RV parks, be it, senior living or student housing. Is still being explored. So I'm looking into expanding our team. It's always helpful to grow big. You scale up your team. So I'm working on finding the right team members who we can go along for a longer term. Not hiring someone. I'm trying to bring someone onto the board, so they are going to be partnering with me. So everyone who works with me should consider themselves working with me and not working for me, because that gives a more sense of ownership and authority to come back and talk among ourselves, have an open-mindedness, than having to just feel like an employee. So working on that model right now. It's going to be a long-term model. So in the next 5 years, you probably will be interviewing me in my own office. And not saying that I'm, elsewhere.
Yeah, I hope so, man. You're definitely a go-getter for sure. Like you have something in mind, and you definitely go after it. So you gotta really admire that for sure. At the end of your life, how do you want to be remembered? At the end of your life, how do you want to be remembered?
So how do I want to be remembered? I would say that I do not have a specific one-liner for that. I definitely come from a family where we all believe in helping. And it's not just the family, it's also from the religion, that seva is what we call in our language is, helping out, assisting others, helping those in need. So I have that instinct in myself to go and help out others. And I have, in India, we used to have it a lot, but in US, it's rare except for some volunteering work at my Sikh temple. But we recently signed up at City Square to help with those who are in need, be it with the homelessness or be it with the food, food banking, running the fundraising. And also, I'm trying to find the best program to help with the welfare of law enforcement, because I feel that there are quite a few there are so many, law enforcement officers who have put their lives on stake for all of us to feel protected, to feel safe. So I do want to give back by, I'm not sure exactly how, but that's running in my mind. So in short, I don't know if I will want to call myself a philanthropist, but I do want to be able to be remembered as someone who knows to give, has a big heart, and not just takes everything and keeps it to herself and wants to pass along. I want to pass along wealth, but at the same time, some culture and some values, and understanding the concept of giving, and giving more than taking.
That's a great answer. Good for you. I really like that. So, yes, Jas, it is the end. So where can Commit to Wealth Nation go to contact you and find out more about what you're doing if they want to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can find me at my website, Sahara Equity LLC.com, and SQLLC.com, and SEQ, and or my email at jas@seql.com. Or I don't know if you want me to give my contact card somewhere in the podcast that you want to put out there. But all our acquisitions and upcoming offerings would not be in there. It's only for those who have expressed their interest and we have relation with. But you would definitely see all my acquisitions in there.
Gotcha.
And our plans.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Well, Jas, I really do appreciate your time. I appreciate all the information that you gave us. Hopefully there are some listeners out there that also want to take action and follow something, similar, your similar footsteps to what you have done in your past and in your current investing journey. So I really do appreciate you, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you so much, Juan. I wish you continued success as well. Well, hopefully we'll partner one day together.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Have me here. Bye-bye.